Well, it's no secret that Bryson Stott has been much better at the plate this year compared to last year, especially since moving to the leadoff spot for the Phillies about 2 weeks ago. How has one simple change for Bryson Stott changed the entire complexity of his offensive approach in 2025? Let's talk about it next right here on the PHLY Phillies podcast. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the PHLY Phillies podcast. Tyler Zulli here, and you know, if you've listened to me for a while now, how much I rave about Bryson Stott and his plate approach, and I've talked about many things for Bryson Stott throughout the course of his career, and to why I've even at one point said, I think this guy could win a batting title. I am that confident in Bryson Stott's abilities. But last year was a struggle for him. Maybe the injury hampered him just a little bit, but it was a struggle offensively most of 2024. 2025, however, has been a much better year for Bryson Stott. He's hitting .292 through the first month, and more importantly, I think his chase rates have been substantially better. They're down almost 11% from last year, and he's now in the 98th percentile of chase rate for the season. He also has 17 hits over the last 13 games, which is kind of primarily exactly when Rob Thomson moved him into the primary leadoff spot, especially against right-handed pitching. Over that stretch, he's been on base 23 times. The one thing to me that stands out, though, on top of the chase rate, is he has 17 two-strike hits through the first 25 games. That's something that he was super reliant upon in 2023 that just didn't materialize in 2024. And I know that you're tired of hearing me say this, but the one thing that Bryson Stott does better than maybe anybody on the Phillies lineup is see pitches and extend at bats. Listen, I'm a broken record at this point, but he's still second across Major League Baseball in the amount of pitches that he's seen per plate appearance. And it's funny enough, actually only J.P. Crawford of the Seattle Mariners is the only player who has seen more pitches per plate appearance than Bryson Stott's 4.58. And listen, it's not just a change from struggling to 2024. It feels like it's more of a reversion back to 2023 and then some for Bryson Stott so far this year. So let's take a look at Bryson Stott the last 2 seasons to compare what he did well in 2023 to what he didn't do so well in 2024, and we'll get an idea of where he's at this season. So let's take a look at Bryson Stott's 2023 numbers from 2 seasons ago. You can see the split, hit .280, a .419 slug. The home runs and extra base hits were about league average and kind of what you're expecting in terms of power numbers from a hitter like Bryson Stott, but he was excellent against left-handed pitching, both in terms of average and in terms of OPS. His barrel rates were at about 5%. He had 35% hard hit percentage. And the thing that jumped out, and I brought it up earlier in the episode where I said he already has 17 two-strike hits this year, he led the National League in 2023 with 82 two-strike hits. He's at his best when he's hitting in all types of counts, but especially when he's able to succeed down in the count with 2 strikes. Now, we'll compare that to his 2024 numbers last year, and the results are pretty stark. The average, the OBP, the slug are all down. The extra base hits way down. The average and the OPS against left-handed pitching down as well. The barrel rates were down. The hard hit percent. You get the point. Everything was down across the board, and he only hit 195 with 2 strikes and had significantly less success with just 54 two-strike hits. And so what's that one change, the one move that I alluded to that's the difference maker for Bryson Stott this season? He's changed his footing in the box. Here's where Bryson Stott stood in the box in the 2024 season. Now, this is where we're going to get really nerdy for a second. He was about 24 inches deep in the box and about 25 inches off the plate. And that little green circle that's really difficult to see, but it is there, is the point of contact per average on Bryson Stott's swings in 2024. Now let's take a look at 2025. You can see he's further back in the box. In fact, he's over 2 inches further back in the box, and he's standing closer to the plate. It's a pretty stark contrast, in my opinion. As I said, an extra 2 inches of depth and over an inch closer to the plate. So effectively what he's done is move back and closer to the plate. And now the difference between an inch or 2 doesn't seem like a lot, but keep in mind when you're thinking about hitting, you're thinking about timing, and you're thinking about rhythm, an inch or 2 in the box in any given direction could be substantial for a hitter, especially when it comes to timing, you know, fastballs, breaking balls, that sort of thing. Those little slight changes could make the world of difference. So to me, though, the biggest thing for Bryson Stott is his point of contact. You can see there, it's so much deeper back in on the plate. Look how much deeper he gets, he's allowing the baseball to get compared to 2024. which is basically telling me Bryson Stott is not nearly out in front as much as he was in 2024. He was popping up a lot. He was having a lot of weak contact, and that I think it did in part because of the fact that he was meeting the baseball too far out in front. He's allowed it to play a little bit closer to the plate this year, and I think it's allowing him to have a little bit more plate coverage, a little bit more plate discipline, and to be able to work the bat-to-ball skills that he is so good at. So he's getting that extra second of pitch recognition, and even if it's a split second of pitch recognition, again, it's so important to the timing and the success of a hitter. He's allowing pitches to get deep. He's trusting his hands more through the zone. And let's call it for what it is. Bryson Stott needs that extra time and depth in the box because over the course of his career, Bryson Stott has historically had one of the slowest bat speeds in all of baseball. He's averaged about 68 miles per hour on his swings over the last 3 years. He's never been better than the 8th percentile across Major League Baseball. And it's why last year and his rookie year in 2022, you saw Bryson Stott get challenged up in the zone, especially with 2 strikes, with high fastballs because he doesn't have the quickest hands. In fact, he has amongst the slowest hands in all of baseball. So for a guy who has a slow swing but has excellent bat-to-ball skills, you're going to want the most complete plate coverage that you could possibly have for the most time to see that pitch. And I think moving back in the box allows him to get that time that he needs. Then there's also the point of moving closer to the plate. Moving closer to the plate for Bryson Stott allows him the opportunity to do exactly what he does best, which is hit with 2 strikes and hit with 2 strikes to the opposite field. So far this year already, Bryson Stott already has 11 opposite field hits of the 28 hits that he has in the 2025 season. He is at his best when he's hitting to all fields. He is at his best when a pitcher thinks they're ahead and they try to get a breaking ball over the plate, they try to go outside fastball, and Bryson Stott is able to keep the hands in, keep them contained, and use his excellent bat-to-ball skills. He doesn't whiff a ton, and this year, as we said, 98th percentile in the chase rate, so he's not chasing a lot either, uses the excellent bat-to-ball skills to go the other way. So listen, simple changes in baseball can lead to incredibly drastic improvements from year to year. So it seems to me like Bryson Stott has made 2 of those very simple adjustments within the box, and it has really, really helped him through the first month of the 2025 season.